This morning was interesting, Kath. Um, and excuse my voice to everyone listening. Haven't been well again, so I'm all snuffly. So my apologies in advance. But this morning was really interesting, Kath. I was having a chat with somebody, and they were telling me it seemed like their life story, and they were telling me all sorts of bits and pieces. And within seconds, I was not in the conversation. I was thinking about my own day. I was thinking about our conversation I knew we were going to have today. I was everywhere except present in that conversation. And I realized it and I thought, oh my goodness, Al, I pride myself on being present. I pride myself on caring about people and having conversations. Yet in that moment, I realized I was not in that room with that person. And I thought this is probably going to be a great conversation for our podcast.
Oh, well, first up, Elle, thanks for being with us today while you're not feeling well. And
Yeah.
secondly, I'm sure everyone listening has been exactly in that place where you've just, been. And it's so easy to,
Mm,
not even be aware of when we're wandering off and we're not in tune or present or listening, to the
yeah.
person that's in front of us. We can feel like we are.
Yeah. I was
Um,
smiling and nodding my head to the
yeah.
stories.
Yeah, and similarly, I've caught myself also listening and
Mm,
with the intention of being there to hear and to listen.
yeah.
And then if I'm truly honest, where I've checked out,
Mm.
and find myself just trying to work out or hold myself back from being so excited about the thing that I want to say that's going to add to the conversation that I've actually stopped listening to what the other person's sharing.
Yeah. You're waiting for that moment that you can say your piece.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that was one of the awareness of this, when are we checked in, when are we checked out? It's an interesting one because we get taught this in
Mm,
coaching, and yet there's an art and a skill to it, and it's so easy to um, get caught up in the habit of not
mm.
really
Yeah.
paying attention or listening.
Yeah, agree. And if, look, especially as a mum, I think I've even shared on the podcast before, guilty as charged of, my kids are like, Mum, I can tell you're not listening by the sound of your voice or when you make that noise. And, you feel terrible, but I wasn't present with the kids at that moment. I was elsewhere. And we do it quite it's easy to do. I think that
Oh,
we've got so
yeah.
much on our mind. Um, but on the flip side, there is such a gift. If you are with somebody and you are in their presence and you've got their attention and you're sharing your heart, you know how good that feels because you also know what it looks like when someone quickly glances at their phone, at their watch, right? You think you're having
Or
this
their
deep and
phone. Yeah,
meaningful, and
yeah.
they look, then they're suddenly checking their phone and checking their watch. You're like, do they even care? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and the whole how do we be with people that actually connects and helps them to open up and share
Mm.
is yeah is so useful to talk about. And actually, now that we're talking about this, I was listening to a training the other day where the trainer shared such a wonderful metaphor,
Okay.
like a picture of different ways of being,
Yeah.
and it just sort of brought to my attention, well, this is interesting because not only is it a case of am I being intentional and in and
Present.
listening
Yeah.
and present, it's also when I'm being present, how am I being,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I don't know, should I jump in and share this metaphor?
Yeah, I think so. Let's go. What's the metaphor?
Yeah. So I'm very visual, and
Yes.
so visuals, and I think that's why I really, really like this. So I'm going to, if you're watching on YouTube, the visuals there, but otherwise I'm going to kind of walk us through, and hopefully if you're just listening, it makes sense to you. But if you can picture in your mind's eye, and if you, wherever you are, just like hold up one of your fists in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
and so you can see your fist, and your fist is tightly clenched in a fist.
Right.
And that represents safety and security. So if you imagine that you're holding in your fist safety and security. And
Okay.
we know, that we've been taught and we know that that's a human need. We all
Mm.
need this, to feel safe and a sense of security, right?
Yeah, of course.
So now, so you've got this fist in front of you. Now, with
Mm-hmm.
the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
try and come and pry your fist open. Like try and
Mm-hmm.
pry your fingers that are holding,
Mm-hmm.
what's happening to this fist while you're trying to pry it open, Elle?
Well, because you told me I need to keep it shut, it's needing to work really hard at staying clenched shut, right? Because this one's trying to open it. So it's clenching even harder, I
Yeah.
think. My fingers
Yeah.
actually hurt now. Oops, don't laugh,
Yeah.
I'll choke.
And so, okay, so let's just hold that for a moment. And
Okay,
now, so that's like part one of this metaphor. Now, part two,
right.
again, you've got your fist and
Okay.
you're holding tightly in your fist, you're holding
Mm-hmm.
safety and security.
Yeah.
And with the other hand, rather than trying to pry your fist open, with your other hand, sort of hold your fist, your hand open as a like a saucer, and just
Okay.
gently place your closed fist into your other
Okay.
hand. And
Yeah.
this other hand, like sort of cradling your fist,
Mm-hmm.
represents care, curiosity, and respect.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what is your fist doing now that it's been held
Hmm.
gently by care, curiosity, and respect?
Hmm. It's like sitting there kind of softly. It's not clenched. It's not even bothering to try and be tight. It's just sitting kind of closed but lightly in my hand. Yeah.
Beautiful. So unpacking that metaphor now. So
Mm.
what if we could remember that the clenched fist represents, let's just say it's somebody that you're talking to, and whoever
Yeah.
you're having a conversation with, they are perhaps needing safety and security. So they
Yeah.
are stressed and so I can be with that person
Hmm.
in a way that's like the hand trying to pry the fist
Mm.
open
Mm.
by, you know, telling them what I think they should do and how to fix their situation.
Yeah.
Or I can come alongside and be like the fist that's just there with compassion
Mm.
and care and curiosity and respect,
Mm.
sort of holding that space for the person
Yeah.
that's stressed.
Wow.
And for me, that was such a great picture to remember
Mm.
because I'm visual. And so, how often have I bulldozed into a
A
conversation
situation.
and, kind of without even really realizing it, I've been the one that's tried to pry, I mean, especially with my
Hmm.
kids,
Oh, that's
like they're
exactly
in
what
a,
I'm
yeah,
thinking right now. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm just thinking, sitting at the kitchen bench, asking a gazillion questions of my kids, when they're still trying to work something out, and I've got all these questions and suggestions because I mean, I've lived life, I know how it should be done. Um, and that's,
yeah,
we do that all the time to our kids accidentally. Well, maybe not we all. I shouldn't say that. We all do it, but there's been plenty of times in my life where I've tried to pry things open and sort it, fix it.
yeah. And no wonder our the person on the other end just clenches even more tightly
Mm.
and shuts even more, close. And I remember as a mum how that used to be so frustrating, that used to make me want to pry open even more and with more
Yeah.
gusto and with
Yeah.
with more
Yeah.
determination.
Yeah.
And so the metaphor was so helpful in realizing and just helping me to remember, gosh, there's a different way
Mm.
sometimes to be, and to, I suppose, gift a person your presence.
Mm.
So I suppose the message for me is when someone comes to a conversation and they're all stressed and all sort of
Mm.
tightly closed off, I don't need to pry open. Like,
Mm.
what if that's not the intention of the conversation?
Mm.
What if I can have a different approach and maybe even access to recognizing a different approach. And the
Mm.
approach is I can just be the curious, caring, respectful space for that person.
Mm. Wow. And I guess that's why when we're driving in the car with our teenagers side by side, just having a chat, that's so much more successful than sitting across the table asking questions and having something to say to them necessarily. Like that's why the drive helps, or going for a walk. Like remember I've shared with you when I started walking with Abby, because
Yeah.
and just getting alongside, because I just found that she would share a lot more and we would do a lot more of the journey together, because I guess she felt safe because I wasn't trying
Yeah.
to pry open whatever's going on.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Gosh, there are so many conversations. I'm sort of thinking back and I am listening to what you say, Elle.
As you're
But at the
thinking
same
at the
time,
same time, you're clever.
but just reflecting back, I just sort of had these flashback moments into the life of my kids when they were younger. And I just think, gosh, how many experiences or instances or moments did we have where I wish I had known this earlier?
Yeah.
Where my knee-jerk reaction would have been to pry and to, yeah, because you think that that's as a parent often that's
Hmm.
what needs to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
With everything what is that saying? You're doing the best you can with what you have in the moment.
Hmm.
But it's sometimes just so useful having other strategies and tools and go-tos when you realize and you recognize that potentially prying is not the answer.
It's not the answer, because what happens the longer, like if our fist was sitting on our hand for any period of time, eventually that tension relaxes. And so that's the same in our relationships, I would imagine. There might
Mm,
not be a huge shift of somebody, being in our presence or stressed. It might not dramatically change in a short space of time, but over a period of time. So
yeah,
with my work in the rehab, one of my favorite things to do is to go for a walk with my crew. And the reason being is because over time they arrive and there's a whole lot going on in their world. Absolutely. You don't find yourself in a rehab without a whole lot going in your world.
yeah,
But over time, the state of being in a much more relaxed state, because for so many reasons, but one of them is knowing that they're safe, feeling safe and secure and cared for, that allows you to relax. Of course it does.
yeah.
Hmm.
And also as the person providing that sort of caring, cradling space,
Hmm.
for someone else. I also think that it's easier to be present and to hear. Like
Yeah.
if they're sort of coming as a tight closed fist and I'm also
Hmm.
coming as a tight closed fist, I'm
Hmm.
not in a space to really hear what
Yeah.
they're saying. Or if they're sharing stuff, I am my mind's off in a gazillion other places because I've got enough sort of stressed
On my
my
own.
own
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But if I can practice, what does it feel like to be the representation of this hand that's open and just, there
Yeah.
to be at that safe space,
Hmm.
then I'm way more in tuned and open
Of
to
course.
listen and to hear what's being
Hmm.
said.
Yeah. So I guess that's a beautiful take home, really, to think about today. We've got lots of relationships in our world. Whether we've got children, partners, parents, friends, colleagues, we've got clients. How are we showing up to those? Are we trying to pry them open to sort their problems, or are we providing that safe place? And I know nobody does it perfectly, right? We don't get it
Yeah,
perfect every single time, and we never will this side of this side of heaven. Um, but I think it's a timely reminder to go, okay, how are we going with that? How are we providing? Are we providing a safe space? And if not, what could it look like? What changes could we make in our relationships to provide that for people in our world? And we also want to be held safely with other people. Like
yeah,
I know I want people to be that, what did you say, the saucer, that when you were telling us how to do
yeah,
it.
yeah,
We want people to be that for us so that we can be I mean, I've got people in my world that I know I can be in a relaxed, still the stuff's going on in my world and there's still a lot of stress or whatever's going on, that still doesn't change, but you can be held safely. And I think it's
yeah,
important to go make sure we've got those people in our world, but make sure we're that for other people.
yeah. Because I think, there are different seasons in life, and I think there are seasons where we might be in a space of whatever's
Mm,
happening in our world means that we're in the
yeah,
season, we're the tight fist, you
yeah,
know, and even just the recognizing that, hey, what we need right now is someone else to come alongside who isn't also a tight
yeah.
fist. Because if you've got two tight fists,
Doesn't go
it's not
down
going to
well.
end well. So,
No. And that's
so
why, with your husband, for me, for my husband's, if I tell my husband that there's a problem and he tries to solve it all, that's just, look, that's not what I needed at that time. I needed the caring saucer to come under and just let me, be in that space for a moment. And I think that's why, we often don't want to be, our problems to necessarily be solved there and then. We want to be heard and we want to be
yeah.
held. Yeah.
Oh, that I love. Yeah, being heard and being held.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's such a gift if we can give that to somebody else.
Mm.
Because how often do we actually experience that these days?
Mm.
It's very special when you do experience that
Agreed.
in a relationship or a conversation with someone else these days because life is busy. It's,
Oh,
hectic, and it's so easy to not be that. So
yeah.
if you're listening and tuning in, really don't want you to feel like we're judging you, at all.
No, no,
And,
agreed.
I hope you don't leave the conversation feeling, oh my gosh. But I think awareness, and we know through coaching, awareness is the beginning of any change.
Mm,
And so, even just for me, having the gift of that metaphor shared to me has just given me a lot more insight into even
mm,
asking that question. Am I a fist or am I like an open hand today?
mm,
And without needing to unpack that even further, it's amazing how intuitively I know the exact answer. Like straight away, I'm
mm,
like, oh, I'm the fist, or oh,
yeah.
no, actually. Or if I notice I am the fist, or I notice I have been in a space where I just want to pry other people's fists open, what could it
Yeah.
look like
To
to
not.
change and just
Mm,
be this caring hand? And yeah, I found that really helpful since
I
hearing
love
it
that.
the other week. So
I've never heard
I
it
hope that's
before, so
helpful.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thinking about that, we're sort of talking about how we're being in a relationship or how we're being in our world, is how we're showing up, and we've got within our membership a whole conversation, don't we? We've got like this module, I guess, on being and doing. And so if this is something that you're interested in and want to know more about, jump on in, join us in the membership because there's lots of tools and strategies inside that I think you'd just love because I love it and I need reminding all the time. And it's there. I can go and look at it. And it's very helpful. So jump on in and have a look.
Yeah. Thanks, Al. And
Mm,
thanks for being here today, even though you're feeling,
yeah.
not so great. So
I
we'll
better
keep
be
it short
better.
and sweet, but I
Yeah.
hope that's been as helpful to you all as it has been for me. And
Thanks for
we'll see you all
sharing.
next time.
All right, bless you.